Welcome to another episode of The Idiot. And today we will be discussing one of the most influential musicians of all time. That is, in my opinion, Beethoven. For me, his music is homage to getting answers to life's big questions. I feel the same peculiarity when listening to Bach as well. From Beethoven's symphonies to his sonatas, there is always something to take away from him. There is this very famous quote by German conductor and pianist Hans von Bülow that Beethoven's 32 piano sonatas are the New Testament of piano literature. If you ask any classical musician, they will reply with the fact that Beethoven played a very key role in the Romantic era of classical music. Now, those who aren't so familiar with classical music, let me tell you that Beethoven was deaf when composing his Ninth Symphony, and it is known to be the greatest symphony of all time. His music is unpredictable, and when hearing his work, you will feel that he's going to repeat a certain section of his music, but more often than not, we have no idea what is going to come next, what exactly he will be doing. He puts you on the edge of the seat. This form of chaos and expression wasn't seen as much in music ever before. Although this style of composing music wasn't always the case for him. For most of his childhood, Beethoven studied Mozart and Haydn, and many of his works as a child, notably his first piano sonata that he wrote when he was 7 years old, was very reminiscent to the style of Mozart. There is this rumor, apparently, that when Beethoven was 18, he decided to set out to Vienna and learn from Mozart. Now, there are two narratives to the story that when Beethoven went to Vienna, Mozart had just died and hence he had to settle to learn from Joseph Haydn. But others say that they did indeed meet, and apparently he even performed for him. It goes on a bit further from here as well. Apparently, Mozart wasn't appreciative of Beethoven's performance when he played to him. It was only when Beethoven decided to improvise and play something of his own in some sort did it actually get the attention of Mozart. Apparently, then, Mozart told Beethoven to play for himself and not be in the impression of trying to impress others. Now, this is just a story and it's a rumor, and this whole story has been told in various forms and guises. Nobody knows if it is even true, not even myself. But it's quite fascinating to know if it actually happened, and it's quite fascinating to even hear about. Now, coming back to his state of music being so unpredictable is also one of the reasons why I feel people find clarity in their lives. I know this is quite an exaggeration, but his work can also be symbolic to the chaos in life. His music often revolves around the themes of love, brotherhood, and passion. In fact, many of these strong themes might just be coming because of his deafness. You see, when he was deaf, he made a testament which wrote that he may be getting deaf, but he has to compose music as he feels something very strong inside of him. Most of his music is him trying to bend faith, showcasing his love and desire for music, notably the Eroica Symphony. There were times when he was rejected in love by women, many of them, and expressed those sentiments in his music. The Appassionata is a great example of this. One thing to take away from Beethoven is the fact that life may be seeming that it might come to an end, but we can truly only ever fail when we choose to give up. Until then, you're still very much alive, and you can still do something. For me, personally, Beethoven's music made my life a lot more comforting. I personally am not endowed with the best genetics, and I'm not really the type of guy who has any notable talent in any form of way. I am this guy who hardly has any friends and is always contemplating on music. This is very similar to Beethoven as well. He totally failed in finding someone to love, and he too was not really the person with the best of looks. His perseverance and belief in himself always made me feel to do the same as well. Of course, I'm nowhere as good as Beethoven, but I know one thing for sure, that I need to keep trying, and I'm playing music for myself because I love it. Beethoven found happiness composing music, Nowhere else in his life was he ever happy. People often found him difficult, hostile, rude, and arrogant. But the only place he felt secure was when he was composing music. This is what I try to take inspiration from as well. Let this world say whatever they want about me, for I will continue to be myself and do what makes me happy. There was a point of time in my life where I was totally lost, and I never felt I could ever amount to anything. This was a time when I had listened to a lot of classical music, and the Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto Number 1 was something that made me cry a lot, really. Although there was this one piano sonata by Beethoven that I had listened to back then, which made me realize something very nice about life. It was his eighth piano sonata, Pathétique, second movement. When I listened to this, I thought of myself as an old man, as a very, very old man, like maybe like 50, 60 years of age, still remaining dependent on my parents' wealth. All of my friends that I had made were having great lives and families of their own, and I was completely forgotten, being a burden to my own family. Yet those few very notes of the sonata, na 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 na, it made me realize that life was just continuing on for me, and I might not be able to do much, but whatever I had seen, those fond memories that I had, even if they were so long ago, were still there with me, and I had tried my best. I may be a disappointment. I'm all the bad things that anyone can think of. But what I had realized was one thing that has been there with me my whole life, and that was myself. That is what I took away from Beethoven very strongly, was that people's thoughts and sayings don't really define an individual. It is primarily their actions and their own belief within themselves that define them. This was the beginning for me at that point of time to discover something known as integrity. Thank you all for tuning in on today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Have a nice day and hope to see you soon next time. Thank you.